Hello, no one. If you're rewatching this and you want to just get some of the general insight, you can feel free to just skip forward the past through the next 5 minutes or so. I usually just sit around for the first couple minutes, allow people to join, kind of buy some time. Um, but yeah, I'm happy you are rewatching this if you are in the future, or if you're sitting here waiting for me to get going. Um, you know, there's been kind of a realization within our program, specifically Access Now. The whole idea being that we would be a self-service type system where we kind of provide you the easiest onboarding route. We should give you all the tools to success. Um, and then essentially from there, you can basically just find success um, through your own pathway, whatever it may be. Part of the realization was that there were so many different avenues for you guys to go, and there was kind of a lot of responsibility left on your end in order to succeed. And one of the many things that we tell publishers that we see within the data is that if you're kind of underperforming, or if revenue is not what it was or could be doing, 99.9, basically 100% of the time, it's due to an improper setup. So we're going to kind of rework our entire program entirely with the help with some of our new ad logic to be added to a page, which kind of takes the responsibility off you guys, a bit more onto us, but that's okay. I think we've been kind of going through a 2 3 week grind, kind of getting our hands on as many sites and as many of your guys' setups as possible. Just because, again, it's such a huge responsibility to do it on your own, and it kind of puts a lot on you guys from an education standpoint, from a work perspective standpoint. So we're just going to kind of rework our entire program. So basically, we can audit the site for you and have you, in the best situation possible to earn as much as possible. A bit of a tangent, but that's just going to be me giving my full transparent insight to kind of what the Access Now program is doing right now. So for instance, a lot of guys, when you guys did set up, you would do the onboarding, you integrate, and then basically what we ask in terms of an ad and a placeholder setup is you will basically use the WordPress generated plugins, which will find, top of the page, bottom of the page, should be finding sidebar. And then on top of that, we have you enable AI placeholders. And AI placeholders are essentially designed to find all the locations on your pages where ads could be, but are not currently being added. So in our head, the logic was, okay, they'll do the WordPress placeholder plugins. They'll turn on AI placeholders, which will fill all the gaps where ads are not showing but could be, and then they'll have a really good setup. Lo and behold, we do a bunch of data research within our team, and we did a shorter term split test between two scenarios, and we found that basically that avenue and was not the best way for it. In fact, it was creating quite a hindrance of setups, and then in turn also revenue. The good thing is that we'll never hinder that pathway would never hinder the user experience. So that is not a concern. That's not a cause of concern. But in terms of putting you guys in the best position to earn more, I'm just going to be fully transparent and say, we were almost somewhat dropping the ball. But we have been putting in a ton of work. We've been reaching out to basically everyone that signed up with that current process, and we're offering them basically to opt into a full automatic setup from our end. So it's saying, hey, just click this button, make sure you're integrated, and we'll handle everything from there. We think that's only fair, and it's kind of what we've been doing going forward. So if any of you guys here currently listening are like, you know what, I'm not sure if my ad setup is fully set up or perfect in, simply just write a comment in the comment section, or I can actually just pull up an example site for you and show you exactly how to opt into that. But that's also kind of the basis of what this live stream is going to be. It's going to be going over kind of what a perfect ad setup would be, and I know I've done that in the past, so I don't want to spend too much time on that, even though I'd be happy to if you guys actually wanted me to. But I also wanted to go over some of the ways you guys can. Custom kit. I'm happy you're in here. So at the top of your dashboard, basically like these really thin notifications that are just below like the Ezoic ads, Leap, Flickify, Humix, and right under that it'll say basically opt in, like have your setup taken care of by one of us from the team, and then I'll have a little href logged into the words opt in. But yeah, custom kit. I was actually looking at your domain a bit earlier because you reached out via email, which also I did look back at the first email, and it looks like that email that I originally sent you responding to your original query got bounced due to some of the email errors you had set up. But the other one that I just sent looked like it went through. Clearly, you're here, so it worked. But ideally, with those questions that you had, which were great, those can actually all be handled within the community. I'm currently in another section of the office, but Anna and Tucker actually cover that channel or the community basically all hours during Pacific Standard Time. So they're obviously extremely qualified, and I can also help them, and they help me, and vice versa. And if you're saying, well, I'm not in California, Pacific Standard Time's not great, well, that's okay, because we also have people all over the eastern side of the country covering the channel or covering the community. We also have an entire team built out in the UK office that covers those hours. So we are in there all the time helping out. But to circle back a little bit, actually, let me pull up where that banner actually shows for you, so you guys can actually see it. But I also wanted to go over a couple other things. Some of them are kind of specific to the dashboard that are kind of hidden, but they're kind of like general checks that I want you guys to do on your end to make sure you're not getting flagged for anything. So for instance, I'm going to go over objectionable content. I want to show you guys basically how to use the traffic percentage, basically how to position yourself in the best optimal way to earn as much with the traffic percentage at 100%. There is a good reason I say 100%. It's not just so that we're seeing more traffic. It's actually for only the benefit of you guys. It is, to be fully transparent and honest, it's a win for us, and it's a win for you. It puts you guys in the best position to earn more and do better. I wanted to talk about mediation because we also found out that a lot of the recent signups are not enabling and setting up mediation as they should. I'll also talk about why that's important. I really want to talk about Humix. Personally, myself, I also have a very small domain that does very little amounts of traffic. Most of my effort with the domain right now is actually just creating content on a weekly basis. So I've been basically trying to create basically two articles a week. Shout out Mike, mycastiron.com. He's in here a bunch, but he basically was like, hey, Charlie, this is kind of my program of how I produce content. It kind of holds me responsible. Don't want to go on too much of a tangent. But I've been really using Humix because I actually love video content. I like making videos. Some of them are really simple and straightforward that require no edits. But Humix is basically our video sharing network that I want to talk about today as well. It honestly, it could take you guys less than 5 minutes, or even less than that. You can even upload an entire YouTube page within a day with basically a couple clicks of a button. Or if you're saying, hey, Charlie, I actually use YouTube videos that are already on my pages, well, I can show you how to easily upload those to Humix so that other publishers can use those. But to give you guys a quick rundown of what that might be in case you guys have other stuff going on later, let's say I do have my domain and it's small, it doesn't see a lot of traffic. I can actually upload videos that are relevant to a broader audience. So essentially, I like to do car videos. I have a couple basically broader car videos, and I can actually upload to Humix. So big publishers, VIP, level 5, level 4, level 3 can also share those videos on their pages, and then we split the revenue. So it's basically a win-win for you guys both, especially us, being in the Access Now program. It really gives us an insane amount of leverage to earn more money and basically see more impressions. It can also drive traffic back to your page due to the way it's linked and SEO purposes. I'm going on a bit of a tangent. I wasn't expecting to do that yet, but I really wanted to talk about Humix and why it's so nice for us to use the Access Now program, especially in terms of traffic and revenue. I'm still going on this tangent, even though I said I'd stop. And if you're saying, hey, Charlie, I actually, video content's not really my thing. I've never been great at it. I've never had an interest in it. Why would I want to do that? Well, I can actually show you guys how to convert all of your written articles into videos using Flickify. SEMrush basically has done a ton of research on, user experience and revenue and engagement when, publishers have one video on their page versus when they don't. And basically all of the data is coming back to show that engagement is up, user experience is up, and revenue is also up. So your users, if you're showing videos, aren't basically having a hindrance to the UX. It's actually enhancing it. Personally, I was born in 1997, so I'm technically like an older Gen Z, but there's also a lot of data that shows that a lot of the younger audience is so used to seeing so many advertisements that basically, a page that might have a couple more ads is actually very digestible for us. And on top of that, video content is basically the most digestible form of content that we like. I think there's evidence to show that TikTok, the older form of Vine, YouTube, like most kids in our generation and older, basically fully diverge into that entire network. Again, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that. So again, if you're saying, I don't want videos on it, well, there's a ton of data that says the contrary. It's good for everyone. It's a win-win for you as a publisher and the user. But again, if you don't want to create content or video content, that's fine. We've basically built a tool that will do that for you within a couple clicks of a button. It's super easy to use. You guys all get access to that for free. You get 5 videos made through Flickify for free. I'll be happy to show you guys how to do that. And then lastly, we did build out basically an entire niche IQ tool, which is basically an SEO tool for you all. That way you can kind of use the Ezoic dashboard as a central hub of your publishing world. You can do site speed, you can do your ads, you can do video, you can do SEO purposes, you can do hosting now, you can do analytics, you can do privacy, you can do SSL. Okay, that's enough of a tangent. I'll be more than happy to go through those things one by one. That's going to be the agenda for the day. So if you are rewatching it or you are looking forward to it, or if you have other stuff to do later, you can just, this will be uploaded to YouTube after, so you can actually just kind of skip through, because I love to run my mouth. But along the entire live stream, you guys can actually go into the comment section here on the side, and you can just say, hey, Charlie, you're talking way too darn fast. Can you slow down? Or you can say, hey, Charlie, I missed your point on Humix. How many impressions do you guys see a day? Can you reiterate that? I'll be happy to. Or you can say, hey, Charlie, I actually have a completely irrelevant question than what we're talking about. This is what I'm curious of. I can answer that. Or you can say, hey, Charlie, what is Ezoic doing to kind of navigate the current market? We can talk about that. I love being fully transparent and honest with you guys. There's nothing that we're hiding and that I wouldn't be happy to share and be open with you guys. So that's kind of the direction of what this live stream can be. So you guys can kind of take over in the comment section and say, hey, let's talk about these things. Because I know, for instance, like some of the people in the WordPress Eagle group, I've been following that pretty closely. And, it seems like the Google algorithm updates are kind of coming more frequently and a little bit more out there. So we can talk about that if you want. But yeah, that's basically how these live streams will go. So you can do it just exactly as Custom Kit Gym Equipment did here in the sidebar. They just asked a question and I can answer it right here. I can share my screen. If you guys want me to pull up your domain, I can also do that and show you guys firsthand of what it looks like. But let me answer the Custom Quits question before I go off on another tangent, because I'm pretty good at that, if you guys could understand. Great questions in there so far. So you guys are utilizing the comment section. Those are great questions, both from 89th Minute and from Custom Kit. I just wanted to show where they can actually opt into the dashboard. Let me just pull up my dashboard for you guys really quick. I've actually already logged into the review, but I'm going to show you guys exactly where it would show in your dashboard. I'm going to give you guys a bit of an infinity loop real quick. Okay, so when we're actually in the dashboard, since I've already opted into the review, basically the notification will sit right here where my mouse is. It'll be a blue banner that says, hey, would you like the Ezoic team to set up and optimize your ads for you? And then I'll have like an href link over here right in the last couple words that says like opt in to review. And then you'll basically be pushed into a review queue that I've been kind of working on the past 2-3 weeks. And I can basically go in, make all the changes to your ads, and basically dial in your setup for you. Because again, that is something that we've noticed in our kind of general process of things, that the ad placeholder setups just haven't been as ideal or nearly close to as ideal as we'd want. So that's to answer that question. Custom kit, if you're not seeing that in your dashboard, and if you guys are not seeing that in your dashboard, let me know in the comment section. Just say, hey, Charlie, I'm not seeing that banner. I can give you my email. You can reach out and I can opt into that review for you. So that way you guys don't have to trace down anyone in support or community. I'll just be happy to go ahead and add it to you myself. 89th minute, great question here. Is there a domain age requirement for Africa? Because I have a website with 46 articles with an average of 1,500 words. Self-made images, getting rejected by Google Ad Manager domain status, 2-month-old site. So there's actually no age requirement for Ad Manager or Ezoic. They do require you to have some articles and some actual content. 46 articles with an average of 1,500 words and self-made images is more than enough. So, you know, I wouldn't say you have to go and produce more content in order to get the approval. I would obviously always suggest and be a heavy advocate for producing more content just in general of the publishing world, as you guys all know. But there's actually just a couple of random specific things Google looks for when they review your site for Ad Manager. So if your site is perfect, it's original, your images are great. Let's say you have 3 categories in your menu. Let's say one of those categories only leads to like 2 or 3 articles under it. Google will actually deny your site for low value content. Does that make sense? Is it low value? Absolutely not. Just because you have 2 articles under there, Google's going to deny it, regardless if those are the best 2 articles the world's ever seen. It's just kind of a weird thing that Google kind of looks for in the review. So what I would suggest you do is you actually go through your categories of your menu. You make sure that each category has 6 articles or more. That is very important. I don't know why Google is so adamant about that specifically, but you need to make sure that each category has 6 articles or more. And you need to make sure that no articles repeat across different categories of the menu. So let's say for me personally, I have a car site. Let's say I did, you know, new cars, and then I had another one that was like classic cars. Those were my 2 categories. Let's say I wrote something about like a Mustang, a car that's been, you know, in the time frame forever. Let's say I wrote an article that kind of pertained to both new and classic cars. So I posted that article in both new car category and classic car category. Google will actually then deny for low value content just because the 2 articles sit under 2 different categories. Again, it's not scraped, it's all original. It doesn't really make sense, but that's just a really specific thing that Google looks for. ACC, that's a great question. I can cover that in a second. But there's also a couple other random things that Google looks for the Ad Manager review. I'll be happy to cover those as well if you would like me to. Just to give you guys a verbal explanation if you guys are rewatching this and you think this pertains to you. Some of the things I will look for is to make sure you have a privacy policy page and a contact us. Again, kind of random and specific, but it's something that Google looks for and they're requiring. So let's just make sure we comply with the Google gods so that way you guys can get the approval. And then again, that's kind of it. You want it to be well organized. You want original content. You want 6 articles per category. You want to make sure your categories of your menu are specific to the content. So for instance, let's say you have 46 articles like 89th minute. Let's say your categories in your blog or in your menu are blog, contact us, and privacy policy. Let's say you have 46 articles all under blog. Google will then actually also could probably deny your site for navigation because they don't think that it's well organized enough through the menu. To take a step back to answer this question, basically Google wants to ensure that each user, whether they're new or returning, can easily find the article that they were looking for. So if I saw 89th minute posted something on Twitter, was like, oh, I just wrote a really cool new article on electric vehicles, you know, EV vehicles. So let's say I went to 89thminute.com or whatever their domain is, and I was like, okay, I really want to read this new article on EVs. Well, if I couldn't find it, you know, through the blog or through the categories, and I had no way of accessing it, it's basically creating a terrible user experience because I know this article exists, but I simply just cannot find it on your domain. So that's kind of the overall perspective you want to take when you're looking at the Ad Manager denial. Don't want to go off too much of a tangent, but hopefully that does help you out a bit. 89th minute. Do we need to select ad sizes during placements, or is it automatic? So when you guys add placeholders to a page, let's say you add a, let me actually pull up an example site for you. But let's say you add a placeholder to one of your pages and it's, the under the first paragraph placeholder. Automatically by default, we're going to give you the best options for sizes to show for that ad type. So as long as you're using the right ad type, so if you're putting the under first paragraph place under the first paragraph, we're going to by default give you all the best sizes there. So it is automatic. So also, for instance, if you were to do, at a bottom of the page placeholder, you don't need to make any custom configurations to the ad sizes unless you do have like a specific layout or some custom CSS on the page, and maybe you don't want to test the 970 by 250 because it's just too wide. So maybe you want to select like the 780 so it's not just too wide. I can show you guys how to change those sizes using the Chrome extension. It's super easy and straightforward. But to answer your question, the automatic sizes that it does suggest when you add the placeholder are basically best and backed by data. We wouldn't just select those sizes at random. That is what the data supports. I also kind of want to answer this again. I would suggest leaving the default sizes enabled, even if you do not think that it's the best size there. So let's say I added the top of the page and there was a 970 by 250 that fits at the top of the screen really well, but you're like, you know what, I just personally don't think that's the best size. Like I wouldn't want to see that. I would still leave it enabled with all the different sizes that are set by default, because if the data finds that for a specific subset of users that top of the page placeholder is actually really beneficial to the user in terms of experience and revenue, then allow that size to be tested for that subset of users. But then again, if our AI is saying, hey, the data shows that this 970 by 250 is not working well for any of your users, then we won't test it. We won't continue to push out a size that isn't working well for you guys. So that's kind of just a background information on how the AI works. So if you're just saying, again, there's just too many sizes, I wouldn't want to show a tiny one or I wouldn't want to show a massive one, I would say let the AI figure that out with your users, because it will dial it in per subset. Another kind of venting point that I want to add here, if you just added a handful of new placeholders to a page because you found that there was good real estate or good area to actually add placeholders, you might actually see more ads on the page than a normal user would, because the AI is going to basically register how you interact with your pages, how long you do it. So it might actually test a more aggressive ad setup just because of the data it has on your previous visits. So again, don't worry, don't freak out, give our AI some time, because again, when you do set up these placeholders and you give it time, and you do set up these placeholders, you want to give it time for our AI to learn. If you see on average 10,000 views a month, it'll probably take our AI 2 to 4 months, probably 3 to 4 months for us to fully understand and optimize your setup. Enough of that tangent. That was kind of a long vent, but I hope that answered your question a little bit, maybe a little bit too aggressively. Or if I didn't answer it enough and you guys are curious about a point that I kind of went through, just say, hey, Charlie, can you reiterate what you were saying here? I don't understand conceptually how that works. I'll be happy to do that. Char Daily says, my EPMV is super low, even though my traffic is mostly from the US. Why is this? Will it improve? So this is kind of why we are changing the way we are doing the onboarding. It's changing the way we're configuring ads to your page. It's kind of because the placeholders through our current setup were not as ideal as we had hoped. So to answer your question, is 9 times out of 10, this is most likely due to an improper setup. If you wanted to share your domain Char Daily, you can do that in the comment section and say, hey, I would love for you to take a look at my site. You can actually share your screen and I can show you guys everything that I look through the dashboard. I can actually share some of your your highest frequently visited pages, and I can say, hey, this is where you're missing out on earnings, or maybe you have objectionable content. But essentially what I'm trying to get at here, Char Daily, is that there are actually a lot of different things that go into the equation of EPMB. So if you have objectionable content, it could kill your EPMB. Let's say placeholders aren't transferring from one page to another due to a high variability in the elements and divs that you used. That could be another reason why your EPMB is hurting. Or maybe you're having a couple errors on some of your pages. Maybe you're having indexing issues. Essentially, there are a lot of things that can go into this equation of why your EPMB could be low, and I'd be more than happy to investigate this. But also with a lot of the major checkpoints that I'm going to go through in this live stream, we'll kind of answer the proactive steps you can do or take in order to improve your setup. ACC, this is a good question. And basically, to spoil it, I don't have an answer for you specifically right now. I think they're actually trying to figure out the legalities of how this is going to work. But currently, you cannot create a video through Flickify and then add it to YouTube due to the rights of ownership. So I don't have an answer for you right now, but they are going to figure this out. But as of right now, no, you cannot upload videos that you create through Flickify to YouTube. You can only upload them to Humix. Yeah, so yes, you can actually do this to have your posts in other languages. I know this is kind of a common practice for people if they want to drive some more tier 1 traffic to their site. Maybe they can target the UK or maybe they can target the US. But yes, I would say this is okay. Just think about the content you're creating and think about your target audience, about what they want to read, because sometimes also through a translation, basically the meaning and the emotion, the ethos, or basically the message can come across this different when you do use 2 different languages and you use like a translation process like this. Like, for example, if I was to go into Google Translate and say, like, how do I say I'm driving home in Spanish? The translation might not be perfect. So it's definitely something you want to take into consideration. Maybe have someone double check the translation to make sure everything's coherent and is actually giving the message you would like to deliver. Sorry. Knowledge Point says, I'm 1 week old on a Zoic monetization. Does that mean I should have as low as an EPMB of 5 cents, or am I missing some setup? So you are definitely missing some setup here, Knowledge Point. If you want to give me your domain name in the comment section, I'll be more than happy to add you to my optimization review. I'm gonna grind those out for probably the majority of the rest of the day, because they are, for the ones that I have set up, we basically looked at their progress from then on, and it's tenfold. I will be curious to ask, with an EPMV of 5 cents, you're probably missing a handful of things in your setup, or you have a pretty low quality setup, and maybe you have some traffic from some lower tier countries, which is totally okay. But that could also contribute to the reason why you're at 5 cent EPMV. But I could say with just about 100% confidence, with the 5% EPMV, we can 100% increase it, by tomorrow, by just dialing in your ads, maybe allowing you to create some videos through Flickify, uploading them to Humix, enable sharing, and we can kind of go from there. I have a parenting self-care blog. Please look into it for me. So I would love to do this for you, Chart Daily, but you'll actually need to comment your domain down in the comment section so I can pull it up. I have no way of pulling up your admin settings here from this live stream. But when you comment on YouTube, let's say my domain was cars.com. If I were to comment, here's my domain, can you check it out, Charlie? It's cars.com. Google will actually analyze that comment and say, oh, this is a URL that contains a website. Like, we're going to exclude it from the comments. So the best thing to actually do is to write down your domain and exclude the .com or the .org or the .xyz. So YouTube doesn't pick it up as a domain name, in that way I can actually search it. I'll give you an example in the comment section here. For example, I cannot type right now. My domain. I cannot type. So it'd be like this. So like my domain, but exclude the .com or that. So like that. And that's the best way I can actually find your domain. So this is another good example. Imran, he actually came from Facebook. Facebook allows YouTube to do it. He asked, my site ads are not showing for a couple of months. Can I check it out? I would be more than happy to do this really quick. just to see why maybe ads aren't showing. It's going to be a really relatively quick one. So you're approved for Ezoic, you're approved by Ad Manager, that's awesome. That means you are basically verified to show ads. So let me see exactly why. And when I actually go to your domain, I see Ezoic versions. I see Ezoic advertisements showing. So from your end, what I would actually do is I would just go ahead and clear your cache because I'm 100% seeing ads showing. Let me double check the impressions, making sure they're coming through our database. If I see that, I can basically verify that your users are also seeing ads, and that's most likely just a caching issue on your end. And I am seeing some impressions, not a ton, but I'm definitely seeing impressions from earlier today. So yeah, that definitely looks good. I would clear your cache and double check that for you. Is the Ezoic affiliate program still active? I can't log in since at least 7 months. So we actually rebooted our entire affiliate program. That's probably something that I should be mentioning in my daily or my live streams. But we actually revamped the affiliate program. Let me add a link for you so you can actually show to make sure you are using the correct process and program. Let me add this for you at the bottom and highlight it for you. Okay, Char Dilly, that last comment worked. I'm going to answer these questions and I'm going to circle back for you. Actually, since you did ask before, I'm going to just pull it up really quick. Gadget.com. George Peters, I'll be more than happy to check that out for you as well. My site is not showing ads. Don't know why. Zoic says my Google Ad Manager was approved, but I got an email from Google Ad Manager saying it wasn't approved because it sees no ad code. So what I think they mean there is you might need to set up your ads.txt. But George Peters, if you could comment your domain in the comment section, I would love to just pull it up. You can say, hey, Charlie, you can share your screen. I'm okay with that. Or you're saying, I'd rather you not share my screen. On top of that, if you want to, if you don't want to share your domain name, that's totally fine and I understand. Just let me know and I can give you my email in the comment section and you can send me a quick email and we can kind of go from there. But yeah, I don't have to share my screen. You don't have to share your domain name here. But let me actually check out this domain here. Let me just pull this up. And I know this is going to be a little bit specific to Char Daly's domain because she wants me to look at her EPMB. But I think this is actually a really good thing for you guys to see on your end as well because it's basically going to be not a full deep dive, but it's going to be kind of a quick glance of what their current setup is and maybe why this EPMB is so low. Because I'm seeing about 3,000 visits on the day and only like 36 cents earned. So clearly there is something up here and we for sure want to take a deep look into this. Sorry, I'm lacking really quick. Let me pull this up. Where did it just go? Oh, here. I'm also just realizing now that I have a lot of new faces in here and I never really introduced myself. So 33 minutes into the live stream, let me introduce myself. My name is Charlie, as you can see in the bottom corner here. I am on the Access Now onboarding team. My title is technically technical publisher advocate. So essentially, I'll do anything in my power to make you guys succeed and do better. So that quite literally is my job, is to help you guys earn more and do better, which is why I do these live streams. Enough of the jibber jabber. Let me share my screen and show you guys kind of exactly what I look for when I do set this up. I want to say thank you, Char Daily, for letting me, use your domain so I can actually share my screen and show you guys. Cool. Let me send you to the matrix. And now here we are. So you can see that they're doing a handful of visits on each day, which is great, but pretty low earning. And they also have mediation enabled, which is absolutely beautiful. That means they've set up AdSense and they've kind of gone from there. The first thing I'll actually do is I just want to go through your current configuration within the dashboard to see how it looks. So I'm seeing, 10 placeholders, 20 placeholders, basically 37 placeholders in total, which is a good look. AdSense mediation is set up because I saw they have some mediation earnings. If you guys aren't using mediation and understanding what it is and how it can benefit you all, mediation is basically a process that we have set up that will allow AdSense to bid against Zoic for your inventory. It actually doesn't benefit us as much because it actually will allow AdSense to outbid a Zoic. And then basically Zoic won't be earning as much, but that's totally fine because we wanted to give you this tool so that it'll essentially allow you all to earn as much as possible for your inventory. So if AdSense outbids, then they're going to give that higher bid, and you can essentially guarantee that you'll be earning as much as possible. So that's what mediation is. And if you're approved for AdSense, there's literally no reason why you wouldn't want to set this up. It does you no harm whatsoever. One of the common questions I get for publishers that do use mediation and they do see mediation earnings in the dashboard. When we pay you guys out, like when Zoic pays you guys out at the end of the month, we will only pay you for the Zoic earnings. So let's say you earn $35 in the month in total, 30 through Zoic, 5 through mediation, you'll get a payment from Zoic at the end of the month for $30, and you'll actually get that $5 payout from AdSense. So that's just sometimes it gets a little confusing. But that's essentially how it works. So the imported historical data through AdSense, perfect. That basically allows our AI to learn your site faster. Ads.txt is set up, MCM set up. That's cool. That's perfect. This is where you can actually adjust your split testing since they do have mediation enabled, which will guarantee they earn as much as possible. Setting this to 100% is of the best interest for you as a publisher. To be completely honest and transparent, it's for the best benefit of you, not for Zoic, but to set this to 100%. Again, there's no reason, there's no hindrance, there's no drawback to setting it to 100%. Their optimization goals are set to revenue focused. Normally, we would recommend balanced, but actually during this time of year, there's been a lot of studies and data that show that having more ads on your pages actually don't really hurt user experience due to the way the current market pushes advertisements so heavily due to the current status, as in we're in the holiday season. Normally marketing budget is way higher, so there's a lot more ads. So as a user, we actually get a little bit more prone to seeing more ads around this time of year. Essentially, revenue focused is okay. I would say it's especially okay during this time of year when users are more prone to seeing more ads. This is one of the pages that I would actually suggest every single one of you checking. As you can see here, this is going to be a big reason, not a huge reason, but it's going to be a reason why you're probably seeing a lower EPMV, because you do have some words getting flagged on these pages. Clearly, this word looks like it's specific and scientifically used within this article. So basically what this objectionable content is, and I can show you guys how to get to it again. If you go to Zoic ads, we're going to go to ad restrictions and then objectionable content. All of these pages are not serving ads because they've been hit with the objectionable content flag. So what all you need to do is you reach out to us in support, you just go to the community and you say, hey, I saw on Charlie's live stream earlier that some of my pages are getting flagged for objectionable content when actually it's used in a scientific definition for my article. So what we can do is we can actually whitelist these words if they are within context of the article. And then you can actually have ads showing on these pages again. So this is going to be one of the reasons why your EPMV is so low. Thankfully, there's not too many hits to these pages, so it's not as drastic. But again, this is a handful of visits that are not seeing any ads at all. So this is a good thing for all of you guys to check regardless. Even if you're saying, you know what, I know for a fact that I do not have any objectionable words on my pages. If you have a comment section and someone were to comment a word that would get hit by this flag, that will actually stop showing ads for your entire pages. So even if you're writing very kid-friendly content, make sure you go through and check this, because if someone's commenting something inappropriate, it will block ads from showing on your pages. That was a lot of talking. There's probably no ad campaigns, which is totally fine. No worry about that. But now I actually want to show you guys kind of the really beneficial part of what I wanted to show you, and is actually within the analytics tab. So normally what I do when I'm deep diving in EPMV, it's all going to be basically done through here. And what I can find right off the bat is that for 3,000 users and visits, they're only engaging with your pages for 2 seconds. This could be for a couple reasons. Either it's invalid, low quality traffic, or if you're using web stories or AMP versions of your pages, this will also show why engaged page views are so low. If you're using AMP versions of your pages, that's totally fine. You're still fully compatible with the Zoic, but I'd be more than happy to tell you why this is a terrible idea to do it. But to actually give you guys the answer, AMP pages are basically externally cached by Google, so those users will actually never get to the root domain. Essentially, the engagement will be crazy low, the EPMV will be really low. But to answer your question here, Chart Daily, this is the exact reason why. It's because your users are not really engaging with your pages. If we go into content and hit landing pages, this will pull up your pages that are most frequently visited. And this looks like, honestly, this is giving me a pretty good indication that this could be low quality traffic, just because the engagement is so low. And this is not an AMP version of your page, and this is also not a web stories version of your page. I'd be more than happy to look into this. If you are buying traffic, I would just say don't do that. It is not a good practice due to the actual engagement on these pages. But I will say this would be a great page to actually show you what a good placeholder setup looks like. What I just did here is I activated the Chrome extension, so all the ads will now show as placeholders, which is great. They have an AI placeholder at the top, which is awesome. They have a sidebar middle, which is awesome. But what I actually would do, since this sidebar, this is one of the highest performing placeholder ad locations for your desktop version, so this is very important for everyone here in the live stream. Since there's no content under the sidebar here, we can actually change this from a sidebar middle. I can press edit. I'm going to change this from a sidebar middle to a sidebar floating. Again, I want to disable this for mobile because mobile pages obviously do not have a sidebar, so we don't want that to show for those versions of your pages. Then I'm going to hit save, and what this change is basically going to do is now when I scroll down the page, this sidebar floating ad is now going to stay in the page, and it's going to follow my scroll with the page right here, which means this advertisement is going to stay in the viewability. It's going to be really high performing EPMV, and it'll be really good in setup. This is actually a pretty solid placeholder setup. You have bottom of the page and a second variation of the bottom of the page. This is good. This does not mean that 2 bottom of the page ads will show. This is just giving us our AI 2 options or 2 variables for location. And it will only test one of these, and it will only test the best performing location. You can actually, if this is your YouTube video, you can actually upload this through the dashboard, and you can turn on ads to be shown for this. You can actually see some large uptick in revenue if you do that. This is okay. You can maybe add a placeholder within one of these, but I think having it at the bottom here is totally fine. You have one here. This is actually a really solid placeholder setup. So basically, to answer your question why specifically you are not seeing the best turns of revenue, it's because your users are not engaging with your pages at all, which unfortunately is a pretty good indication of invalid traffic. But I wanted to show you that firsthand, kind of what I would look for and what this would kind of look like. Especially when I am looking for EPMV. So Charlie, I mean, if you are buying traffic, I would just highly suggest not doing that at all, because for that exact reason. Sorry, I just wanted to. Okay. But yeah, I would say for you all, if you're like, hey, what is one of my best things I could do right now to actually improve EPMB is I would go to the analytics tab of your dashboard. I would go to the top landing, you go to content on the sidebar, find your top landing pages, and then go through there and set up all of your top or most frequently visited pages to be dialed in with ads. A little bit of a jargon there. Sorry about that. Yeah, George, let me know what you want me to do in this scenario. If you want me to pull it up specifically, or if you want me to answer this question kind of vaguely. Looks like I actually could find your domain through our admin tool. Wow, EPMB is pretty unreal and awesome for you. So that means your domain was actually approved. Oh, I see you have another site that was approved for the account but denied on the domain. So if you want me to answer this question, I would be more than happy to do that for you. But yeah, if you want me to give you an answer to that, George Peters, I'll be more than happy to. If you want to send me an email, I would like to do that as well. It looks like an automated site. So again, I'd be more than happy to do it, but I think I know the exact reason why it's not. And to just give you a straight up forward answer, it's because you don't have clear navigation from the home page. Not only that, but the domain name is a bit misleading to what the actual services seem to look like. That's again not the end of the world, and I don't think Google would deny specifically just for that reason. But your homepage is a bit difficult to navigate to actually find your blog or your content, which is why Google would be denying. This is a really great point, ACC automation. I found that it took about 3 months for the AI to really earn more money on the site. Mistakes learned is not clearing the cache on the website. So this is a really good point. And something you guys can actually do is set up automatic caching using our plugin. Basically, what you do is you have an API key in the settings tab of your dashboard. The API key will then link to the plugin. And that way, anytime you make an update in the backend or within WordPress to one of your pages, we automatically clear the cache. You don't have to manually do it every single time you make an edit to a page. Makes your life a little bit easier, but also makes, leaves less room for mistakes, as you saw here. Like if you didn't clear your cache and you're serving an old version of your page to your users, just allow it to be easier for yourself. Set up the CDN management through the plugin. I can send you guys an article on that right now. Basically how you set up automatic caching. Again, just put 3 minutes aside after this live stream, set this up, and that way you never have to worry about caching again. You'll save yourself so much more time in the future, setting aside 3-4 minutes right now. But yeah, save yourself a ton of time, avoid some mistakes. Hi, last week we had chat. You was going to check why my bounce rate has gone up once I have integrated with the Zoic. I think we talked about that a bit. I remember your domain. And I thought I replied, I thought I sent you an email on this exactly. But there should be no correlation between simply integrating with the Zoic and seeing a higher bounce rate. Again, doesn't mean it's impossible, and I'd be very happy to check that out for you. But specifically, it looks like your EPMB is going up a bunch recently. That's awesome. Looks like your users per day is going up, which is awesome. Great work there. I know you're doing a ton on your end. Looks like you have a ton of pages that are seeing high amounts of traffic, which is awesome. It's not all on one page. But again, I'll be more than happy to go through that. Tech Guru guy, I know you have my email, so I'll be happy to go through that again with you. Could you help me remove the ads.txt that's generated by ads.txt manager? I disabled the option in the ads tab, but it didn't do anything. So one thing you should probably do is if you do turn off the ads.txt manager app in your dashboard and you want it removed, again, this is one of those things that we were talking about with ACC, is just make sure you actually clear your cache, because that page could be cached and it could be showing for returning users or cookie users. I would ask why maybe you want to turn off your ads.txt, because that does mean that ads will not be able to show from there forward. So if you're seeing anything else, then let me know. ACC Automation asks again, is it recommended that the website have a sidebar? My WordPress site currently does not. Should this be replaced so a sticky sidebar can be implemented? Yes, this is exactly the correct thought you should be having after seeing the sidebar on Char Daily's website. Mike says, hey, Charlie. Hi, Mike. I'm sure Mike will also be a fine testament to say adding a sidebar, whether it's you could have, related content. Maybe you have a short little section that's like about the author, and then you have one below that's like maybe recently posted articles. That is very important because you can now add a placeholder on top of here. You can have a sidebar top, you can have a sidebar middle between the two content, and then below like the recently uploaded articles or whatever you have here in the sidebar, below that you can then add this sticky sidebar so it does float with the scroll. Again, that can show on all pages. It will help with EPMB a ton. That does not hurt user experience because it's not interfering with any of the content. So this is definitely something that I would suggest doing today if you don't have a sidebar set up. Again, I cannot say it enough. This is a massive, massive improvement if you would like to do this to your site. Again, what I did for my site, what I would suggest probably for you guys is I have, about me as a publisher, and then below that I have either related articles to what they're currently viewing, or sometimes I just have, my 5 newest articles that I've written. And then I have sidebar top, sidebar middle, and then sidebar floating below. It'll help you guys out a ton. If you guys are curious about what are some of the other high performing ad types, I'll be more than happy to share it. Spoiler alert, bottom of the page ad is probably the biggest one that you guys will see in terms of best performance. It's the bottom of the page that floats. You can have that in mobile, you can have that in desktop, you can have it in tablet. It's definitely one of the best performing ads for sure. Mia says, Charlie, hi Charlie. Hi Mia, thanks for joining. I don't think I've seen you here before, but I'm very happy. I'm very happy you're joining. I love seeing new faces. I love seeing returning faces like this. If you guys are curious about me specifically and don't have anything in regard to Zoic, like who I am as a person, I'd be happy to share that because I kind of like these live streams because it does show that I'm a real person. I'm not some automated bot that helps you out on support or sends you emails offering my insight. I am a real person. I'm a real publisher just like you guys. And quite literally, my position is to do everything in my power to make you guys earn more, do better, grow your site. So I'm quite literally on your team. I'm not against you guys at all. All I want to do is help you guys out. Pixanity says, ads are being shown in between bulleted lists. Is there a quick fix for this? Yes, there is. There's a couple different ways. The reason I might need some context here, Pixanity, is because I don't know if you added placeholders from the Chrome extension. I don't know if you did it through the WordPress plugin ones, or I don't know if this is an AI placeholder. But the WordPress plugins are automatically supposed to exclude LI, OL, basically all list elements. So if you are using a different span or something like that, I can show you basically how to do this. But if you have a list where one placeholder that you added is showing across every page on every list, what you can actually do is just use the Chrome extension to remove it from, you can either delete it from all pages, or if it's only on that one page, you can use the Chrome extension and just delete it from that one specifically. I can show you guys how to actually do this. This is a pretty straightforward process, so I'd be happy to just share a page really quick. I'm not actually going to remove a placeholder because they don't want me to, and also removing placeholders is not always the best practice. But let me show you guys exactly how this would go. So if I were to remove this using, let me just remove this comment. If I were to remove this ad using the plugin, it'll look exactly like this. Let me send you to the matrix like this. Cool. So now that I'm on this page, let's say, for instance, you hated this placeholder. This placeholder was in the middle of an li element, or it's really causing disruption. I want it removed just from this page. What I'll do is I'll go to the Chrome extension, I'll activate it, and I'll do activate placeholders. I am now going to see the placeholder or the ads change from the actual ads to the placeholders. I forget which one it was, but let's say it was this placeholder that was creating issues on all sites. What I can actually do is just click on the title, and I can do don't show on this directory, which will end the placeholder from showing on this directory and every URL that follows it. I can click on this, which will just remove it from this page only, or I can hit delete, which will delete from all pages entirely. I would avoid doing the delete because a lot of the times deleting it will actually remove the placeholder from a page where it can work, and that will only hinder your, it will only hinder your EPMB. It'll only hinder our AI's ability to actually optimize your site, but that's actually how you would do that. You can actually also do this within the dashboard. I'd be more than happy to show you how to do that. But if not, if you want me to show you how to do it through the dashboard, let me know. But if not, just use the Chrome extension. It's the easiest way forward. Let me get you out of the matrix. There you are. So yeah, pick sanity. If you're saying, hey, Charlie, I actually added ads this way, that doesn't really work for me, let me know and I'll be happy to help troubleshoot that. No, it doesn't. I don't remember ask what you said. Can this be done? Also, I'm not using Cloudflare for integration. Does this matter? No, that's totally fine. You can simply integrate via name servers, which is totally fine. It'll integrate through our cloud. And if your name server integrated and you also want to use Cloudflare, that's totally fine. You can integrate using our name servers. You can go to the settings tab of your dashboard and you can actually just activate Cloudflare to be added to our account. So you can use, like, in case your site does get under attack, you can do Cloudflare I'm under attack mode, or you can use various Cloudflare features if you would like. CX Nation. So yes, I do blog myself. I do actually enjoy writing content. I'm pretty ADD ridden, if you couldn't tell by my extensive uses of words in a short amount of time, or how I jump around all over the place. But I really have a ton of hobbies and interests. Two biggest ones I would probably say are skateboarding and cars. So my domain is all about, the automotive industry. I write pretty biasly about my stuff. I'm currently not even monetizing. I'm still just producing as much content as possible. I probably won't try to monetize until I have maybe 30 articles or so. I currently only have like 7 or 8. But I make videos on it as well. It's just kind of like a fun side project to do, especially in the wintertime. I am in San Diego, so it's a great place to be outside and do activities. But in the wintertime, when I'm off work, it's usually pretty dark out. So it's kind of a nice time to just nestle into my house. Maybe I'll write a couple articles. But yeah, I do blog myself. It helps me understand the perspective of how you guys use Zoic. So part of it is me just in general interest. I like to write. I love cars. I'm interested, but also I think it does help me understand the perspective of you guys using Zoic. It would only do so much if I had no idea what the publishing world was like. And I was sitting here trying to help out you guys. So yeah, part of it is, I just have a general interest in it. I like producing content. I like producing video content. But also it helps me help you guys because it helps me understand your guys' perspective a bit better. So I think Char Daly was asking, why is some of the reporting or the tracking different from Zoic to Google Analytics? The primary reason is that Google Analytics tracks your data via a JavaScript that is added to every page, and Zoic actually tracks data server side, so it's actually a little bit more accurate. But essentially, as you guys are cloud integrated, the user request path, if I were to type in your domain, would go from my computer. to your host, to where the actual file of your site lives, and then it'll go through our CDN. And when it goes through our CDN through our server, that's basically where we add the ads, we add our scripts, and then we actually track your users as well. So that's kind of why you see a variance between BDA and Google Analytics. Mia asks, is this a good metric average for view? 43 seconds. Yeah, that's a pretty solid, pretty standard length of engagement. And yeah, the other metric is pretty standard as well. It can be higher, can be lower, but I would say that's a pretty solid engagement. Is search box required on a site, or can I remove it? I actually don't think it's required. Zoic definitely does not require it. I don't think Ad Manager requires it. They've never said anything along those terms of requiring a search bar. Maybe if you have 3,000 articles on your page, it might be beneficial to have a search bar. So, if you did write an article 4 years ago and a user wanted to find it, they could do a search bar. If not, I'll be more than happy to just say that you don't need a search bar. It looks like I'm getting some spam. I'll kick them. But I'm going to give my, it looks like George Peter says, what's your email so I can reach out to you? I'm going to add it really quick in the search bar or in the comment section. And then I'm going to remove this person that is giving these erroneous adult chat messages. Sorry about that, guys. But it's going to be cstever@azoic.com. I'll highlight it right here. I know that is my last name, and just for a random reference, it's my last name is Stever. I know it sounds weird, Stever, but it's German. So technically, when you have a vowel back one next to the other, basically I have OE next to each other. You don't pronunciate the O, but you don't replace it, so it wouldn't be Stever. It's technically Stever. Completely irrelevant to anything we're talking about, but just thought I'd share. But I think technically in Germany it'd be Stuva. So there's my tangent. But yeah, there's my email. So I know George asked. So George, there's my email right there. I know I answered that a little bit 10 minutes late, so hopefully I still have you here. You guys can all, send me a quick email. If it's some extensive troubleshooting, I'll probably, give you a shorter answer and kind of direct you to the community where we can offer a lot better insight and help. But if it's something quick and easy, like opting into the setup review, please let me know, and I'll share that for you. Great questions today, guys. Hopefully this has been pretty beneficial for you. We're gonna keep rolling here. So I'm unable to get a sidebar at all. Is this due to using the Elementor page builder? So I think Elementor still does allow you to add a sidebar. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've actually never used Elementor due to the way it actually slows down sites quite a good bit. Don't have to go down that path, but I do think that Elementor could, does allow you to add a sidebar, excuse me. But what I would say is I would actually suggest moving away from Elementor to WordPress for many reasons. One, site speed. Two, I actually think it's an easier interface to use. That's not off empirical evidence. I've just worked with a lot of publishers that were using Elementor. I asked them, if they were willing to make the changes because it's a lot more compatible with the Zoic. You can have a lot faster, a lot cleaner of a setup of a site. Not only that, but they all say it's easier to manage and actually customize. Because as you can see here, you can even add a sidebar easily using Elementor. But yeah, I would actually suggest moving over to WordPress. Using a really simple basic theme. Don't use you don't need to use a pro version because it's just going to add more script. It's just going to add more fluff. It's just going to slow down your site. Use a really simple WordPress theme, and then you can add a sidebar, which I'm 100% positive you can do through WordPress because I've done it on a couple different themes. John Dab says, "What's up, Charlie? Sorry to join late." No need to apologize. I'm just happy you showed up. Hopefully I can answer this question for you and offer you some insight. What's an average EPMB across the board? So this is a really hard question to ask because there's so many different, metrics that come into this equation. It could depend on if you're using a tool site. Are you using a forum site? Are you using a blog site? Are you have US traffic? Do you have traffic from Africa, or do you have traffic from Asia? It just, there's so many different things that kind of come into the equation. But if I were to give you an average answer of EPMV across the board, I would probably have to figure out a subset of how I want to answer this. So from some of the lower tier countries, sometimes I see an average EPMV of maybe $2 to $8 for the lower tier traffic. From the higher tier traffic, maybe around anywhere from 15 to 80 to $100 even. I think it's kind of a vague question to ask, and if you want to ask for a more specific subset, I'd be happy to do that. There also is some, we did produce an article 2 years ago. Basically, it was a case study, not a case study, but we were basically comparing the different niches and which ones produced the highest EPMB. So this is an older article, but I can't find the graph that I wanted to share, because I think they actually took down the current version of the article because it was from 2019. So we're actually just going to produce a new one very shortly. But to give you guys some insight, I think the gardening niche actually had the highest average EPMB of around $85. Travel was another really good one, around $25 to $35. Automotive was another good one, around $30 to $40. Health was another really good one. Family was another really good one. I think technology was another really good one. But yeah, I wish I could give you a great answer here, but it's just a little bit hard to do. So we actually are not fully compatible with Wix right now due to the way you have to cloud integrate. So what I would actually suggest for you, Lightning Play, is actually going over to WordPress and migrating. If that's not something you're willing to do and you want to maybe try to figure out something that you can use Ezoic today, feel free to just go ahead and email me and I can try to figure out something for you. All two of my websites have been demonetized. I added all my websites into one AdSense account and I am demonetized. So I'm not sure if you're saying you're demonetized through both AdSense and Ezoic, but if we were to turn off your site through Ezoic, we wouldn't flag anything in AdSense. Like that entity has nothing to do with us. So if you were turned off in AdSense and Ezoic, that probably means there was probable cause for this action to be taken, whether it's invalid traffic, maybe scraped content, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Mike, so I actually would love to show you how to do this, but I actually will need to. I would need access to your backend, so I would need access to your WordPress. So I can't exactly show you how to do it, but it is actually a pretty straightforward process, especially if you already have the plugin enabled, which I know you do, Mike. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna add this article again, and I'm just gonna link it here at the bottom. So it's right here. This is going to be the article. If you look up Ezoic CDN management in the search bar, it'll pull up. But basically, you'll go into caching under the dashboard and Leap. You'll find your API gateway key. You add the API gateway key to your plugin, and then you go into settings for the plugin. And under CDN settings, you enter the API key. And then all you have to do is turn on automatic recaching and purge homepage to enabled, and you're done. So Mike, I think that's a really good thing that I should probably share for an example for next time. But to give you guys a rundown again, you go into Leap, you find caching, you find your API key, which is going to be the second tab next to cloud caching. You copy that key, you go into the WordPress or the Ezoic plugin, you find CDN, which is going to be one of the tabs, and then you just enter the API key that you copied from the dashboard, turn on automatic caching, and you're good. Again, I should probably have an example to show this with, but I can't pull it up for mine right now, just for security reasons. But I'd be more than happy to pull up an example for you next time. George Peters, glad that worked. Awesome. Also, thanks for joining, George. And there's a handful of new names in here. John Dabbs is a returning one. CX Nation, I feel like I've actually had you in here before, but I'm just happy to see a bunch of new faces. Especially with, I know we're kind of coming out of COVID, but I think it did set us all back a lot, and we were kind of all sitting behind monitors all day. So I think this interaction, even though it's one way more or less, it's nice to see that we are all regular human beings. We're not just bots that sit behind a desk and help you out from there. Does Zoic have any plans to make their own theme? So not too much I can share on this, but if I answer the question, not too much to share in this, that could give you some hindsight to maybe what we could potentially be doing. Hopefully that statement doesn't get me in trouble. But this has definitely been a thought. This has always been a consideration, and I do think it is something that we are actually looking into. I don't know if things are in progress. I don't know if things are actually finished and just waiting to go. I don't know if we haven't started yet. But this is a great question. It is definitely something that we've thought about pretty intensely. Not only that, but actually creating kind of like, yeah, I can't say too much or else I'll get in trouble. Okay, let me pull up your domain really quick, Happy Kid. I don't want to skip your question and make it seem irrelevant. So let me actually pull that up for you and see if your domain is eligible for review. What was it? Need 15 seconds. So, who asked that? Happy Kid. So it was denied for scraped content. If you want to reach out to my email and say, hey, Charlie, I removed all the content, please take another look. I'll be more than happy to do that. Turning your site off for scraped content does us no good. It does you no good. It's not something that we want to do. But if it's something that we did, it's for probable cause. We need to maintain a healthy relationship with Google. Again, there's no reason why we would want to turn off your site and demonetize it. It does literally us no benefit as to you as well. So that's going to be the reason why. Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, that was a bit vague on my end, but I think a great response from you, and it helps a bit. Okay, good. I'm glad that helped a bit. If you do want more insight, you have my email, and I can share with you whatever I can. The site is still there, but the search for Zoic is not ideal. The blog title is Top Earning Website Categories 2020. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I understand what you're saying here. But yeah, that was produced in 2020, and that was from 2019 data. So I saw the note maybe last week or 2 weeks ago that they're gonna just rework this and pull more relevant data, because why not? Cool. Nice, Mike. I'm happy you did this. Setting up the CDN management will make your life a lot easier. You might have to do 3-4 minutes of some quick work, but it'll actually save you hours on end in the long run. So I would say it's definitely in your best interest to set this up. Happy Kid, I definitely got that question. And Knowledge Point says mine also. Knowledge Point, I definitely didn't see another question from you. The last question I have from you was about the 0.05 EPMB. And that was a while ago, and I definitely answered that one. Okay, so now I got through a lot of the questions. Oh yeah, so I am streaming on Facebook right now, actually. Let me see where it is. I can send you the YouTube link right here. So I am actually streaming on Facebook right now. Okay. Okay. So I showed you a bit about. Oh, Annex is here. Hello. How are you doing? Nice to have you here. So I talked about placeholder setup, and I kind of showed you guys, what an ideal setup is. And if you guys are all sitting there saying, I want a perfect placeholder setup, but I really don't want to do it. Honestly, I feel you, and right now I can take care of it for you. If that is you who is thinking that behind the screen right now, saying, I want you to set up for me, send me an email and just say, hey, Charlie, I was in the live stream. I want a perfect placeholder setup. Just let me know, and I'll make sure you're added to that queue. And now I can either set it up right then and there, or I can add it to the queue and just kind of continue on throughout the rest of the day. Because I understand that it's a lot. It takes a good bit of knowledge in order to get a perfect setup. So I'd be more than happy to do that on my end. I want you guys to succeed in the end of the day. I talked about placeholder setup. I covered objectionable content. We talked about the traffic percentage and specifically why it's important to set up mediation. If you guys want me to talk a bit more about that, I would be happy to. But again, you want to set up mediation, link your AdSense, turn traffic to 100%. And that's not for our best interest. It's quite literally for your guys' best interest. It's going to ensure that you're earning as much as possible. So again, it's something that I'm advocating from your guys' perspective to set this up, allow yourself to succeed. And, that's going to be an important step in doing this. We talked about Humix. I kind of want to show you guys a bit more, but I also want to touch a bit more about why Humix is so important right now. It looks like I covered everything else. So I'm going to answer this question, and I'm going to talk about Humix a little bit more, and then probably wrap it up. No, so there isn't a blog post. Actually, there is. It's basically how to use the Chrome extension. I can pull up that article for you. But there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. There's basically a lot from influencers on this. But CX Nation, if you really want to ensure that you have a perfect ad setup, please just send me an email with your domain name and say, hey, I want a perfect ad setup. Because right now, while we configure this new onboarding process or basically setup optimization that we're doing, we're just going to kind of take some of that labor off you guys, put the responsibility on our shoulders. So that way you are setting yourself up for success. Again, it's a little bit more, nitty gritty work for us, but it's better than you not having a perfect setup. But I think the general direction we're going to be moving in the future is we have some incredible developers here at Azoic that are creating new ways for us to add placeholders to pages on our end and to have it a perfect setup right away. So that way you don't have to do any manual, interpretation. But for the time being, this is going to be our best alternative route. So I would definitely say reach out to my email, let me know you want it, and I'll be more than happy to take care of this. You don't have to use AdSense, but if one of your sites is approved for AdSense, there is no reason why you wouldn't want to set your traffic to 100% and enable mediation. That's me speaking from your guys' perspective. What's best for you, what's in the best interest for you all. And what it's actually going to be is turning on AdSense and enabling mediation. You don't have to add any AdSense ads to your page. We will actually automatically remove those because mediation will take place within the placeholders. So it'll be taken all, it'll be done all on our end. So you don't need to worry about doing that. Excuse me. But yeah, Mike, I totally agree with you. An automatic placement is basically the next biggest step that Azoic is going to figure out. It's basically we want to take all of the placeholder equation off the boards. That way you don't have to worry about what is perfect, what's not. And again, for the time being, it's going to be a little nitty gritty for me specifically, but it's something that I'm willing to do so you guys are all basically set up for success. The main reason is people can track AdSense sites and know all of our sites. So I actually didn't know that. I know you could see AdSense sites and similar sites, but I didn't really understand, or I guess I never really thought of that perspective of, maybe if someone was going after one of your sites and wanted, to send bot or valid traffic, they could then find the rest. So I do understand your perspective here, and if that is a serious concern of yours, then of course that's totally fine. I would never tell you to leave it and leave your site in an unsecure spot. I would never want to do that. But yeah, so good point. CX Nation is something I never really thought of. John again says, hi, Charlie. So I'm getting paid on mediation and on AdSense itself. The Zoic team told me this is correct, but just wanted to confirm with you as well. All my traffic is going to a Zoic 100%. So, John, your mediation earnings through a Zoic should account for 100% of the earnings that you're seeing in AdSense. If you're seeing more earnings in AdSense outside of mediation, that means AdSense is actually showing ads alongside of Zoic, which shouldn't be possible currently. Maybe I'm misreading your question. I'm getting paid on mediation and on AdSense itself. So again, I gave this example earlier, John, but I wasn't sure if you were there. Let's say for last month, I earned $35 in total. I earned $30 through Zoic, and I earned $5 through AdSense and mediation. The Zoic payout will be $30 at the end of the following month, and the $5 will be paid out through AdSense. So if that's what you mean, then that's totally correct. But let's say your earnings were $35, you got $30 through Zoic, you got $5 through mediation, and maybe you had like $3 or $4 through AdSense. That's definitely something we want to look into. Maybe you have old cache cookie versions of your AdSense pages being sent out to some returning users, so that could account for why. Maybe somehow there's an AdSense ad still showing somehow. We can figure that out as why. But if you are seeing just the $5 of payment through AdSense that are equal to the sum of your mediation earnings, then you're all set. But the reason why you're saying, so I'm a bit confused why AdSense would be paying me, because AdSense actually, sent in the bid for that spot on your inventory. That's actually why AdSense will be paying you it out, because they earned that spot. Okay. Yeah, John, send me an email and we can get to the bottom of this for sure. If I decide to stop using a Zoic, can I opt out anytime, and will I be paid my accrued earnings? Yes, all your earnings, regardless if you quit or got turned off, your earnings will be sent to you as you've earned them. So if you earned $35 through 15 days, you turn the Zoic off for the last 15 days of the month, that $35 will still be paid out at the end of the following, or at the next payment schedule. So yeah, you'll still get paid out for the earnings you made. There is an instance if you, let's say you bought a bunch of traffic and a lot of the traffic was invalid, those earnings will still be showing in your dashboard. Let's say you send invalid traffic. If Google finds that traffic is invalid, they can actually crawl back those earnings and say that earning was not valid. We can crawl back those earnings. And if Google does not pay a Zoic, we will not pay you. But if Google pays us, we'll pay you. Yes, it would eliminate redundant questions and problems on your end after the initial setup is done. So this is exactly correct. You hit the head on the nail here. If we have a setup that's perfect from the beginning, you won't have a question asking about why EPMB is X, Y, or Z, or maybe you still might, but we'll at least cancel out the variable of placeholders in that equation. But yeah, you're exactly right here, Mike. It might take a little bit of work to get that perfect at the beginning, but the return later on will be much better, and I couldn't agree more. John says, hey Charlie, I'm not seeing the banner for the opt-in. So John, what you can do is just send me a quick email. I'll put my email down here at the bottom again. So you can reach out and just say, hey Charlie, I was in your live stream earlier. I just wanted to opt into the setup review. Can you just make sure that that gets touched on? And I'll say, absolutely. I'll get that in there. And I'm actually doing a lot of the reviews the past 2 weeks or so. Jan, our lead, has also been helping. Some others from our team have also been helping. But I'll make sure that your site gets in there. So just send me a quick email, include the information that you're talking about, include the domain, and I'll get that settled in. Cool. That honestly, Oh, I wanted to talk about Humix a little bit as well. I kind of did earlier in the live stream if you want to rewatch, but essentially Humix is it's like our own video sharing network. And I think for us in the Access Now program or those who have a smaller site, this is one of the best tools that we can use to just really see some insane earnings. So for instance, we had a psychology site that signed up. It was really it was Access Now, only seeing a couple hundred visits a month, but it had a good bit of articles. They just haven't really ramped up their SEO efforts yet, but they had a bunch of really good and intuitive videos that they created. They uploaded those videos to Humix. They allowed others to share that video on their pages, and when they do that, they split the revenue. That publisher then saw, because their videos were great, their videos were being shared on a pretty wide network of domains, and they were seeing $100 of revenue being made. So this is kind of one of those catalysts you can see in terms of earnings and traffic, because it will link back to your page if they decide to go there. But this is a really awesome opportunity for you guys to kind of ramp that up. Yeah, so that's another really great point as well, is that YouTube historically and recently has continued to crawl back their revenue share, which is something that they're very willing to do, as you guys seen in the past, and they are still willing to do. On top of that, if you wanted to show an ad, if you had a YouTube channel and you wanted to earn money, well, you can't until you have 10,000 hours of watching your content, right? And you also need 10,000 minimum subscribers in order to earn your first dollar. After you do all of that work, have 10,000 hours and 10,000 subscribers, YouTube can then basically ruin your revenue by changing their revenue share. The leverage is just crazy in their hands. Not only that, so when you do want to use when you do want to use Humix, you can basically start earning right away. There's no minimum requirements. We won't crawl back the revenue split like they do. But Humix really is worth the effort. I've seen it with so many sites. I'm doing it with my current site. Mike says Humix is worth the effort. You're 100% right. It is worth the effort. On top of this, to add to it, there's no reason you can't also have that video that you made on YouTube. You can't upload your Flickify videos that you created with us to YouTube. But if you have a bunch of videos on YouTube, there's no reason you can't have them on YouTube. You can't have them on Google Videos. You can't have them on Humix. You can have them on all. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to say you can't. There's no reason you can't not. So you can now be having YouTube on videos, Google Videos, Humix, and you kind of triple dip, as we say, triple dip into all those different entities. So again, there's no harm in just adding those YouTube videos or the videos you've already created to Humix. There's no harm, no foul. Oh, it's 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours watched on YouTube. Huh. I could have sworn, because I have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel outside of work, and I could have sworn it said 10,000 subs. Regardless, 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours watched is a lot harder than uploading a video to Humix, enabling your sharing, and allowing yourself to earn today. And you might think like, well, is there that much of a demand for Humix? Like, is it really worth it? Well, Humix is seeing more impressions on a daily basis than Snapchat. So that will answer your question that there is a demand there. Not only that, but the demand is very new. So it's not, what I'm trying to say is that demand will continue to grow. And so getting in on an earlier basis is basically your best plan forward. You can think of it like, imagine if you guys had all of this knowledge of how the internet was going to work. Now, like, imagine if you had that information back in 2004 or 2000, or, in the earlier stages of the internet, or in 1995, if you had all the knowledge you did now, you probably would have bought 500 domains, and you probably would have made that your living, and you'd be a billionaire right now. Think of that conceptually the same as to how Humix is right now. We're early in the game. There's a demand. The demand is growing. The payouts are huge, and there's basically no gateway to entry. There's no hurdles you have to get through. That's going to be kind of my pitch for Humix. Again, it's a win-win if you want to use it. Like, it's great for you in terms of revenue and traffic. It's not going to hurt your users' experience. SEMrush came out with all the data. It says quite literally the opposite. And that's going to basically wrap it up for the day. There is something that I really wanted to emphasize. Basically, I know we've talked about the ad revenue index in the past, but basically it'll give you an insight of what the current market is, and it will have a direct correlation with your payouts and your EPMB. So I just wanted to share my screen and show with you guys. It is a little bit sad, but it is something to consider when you're looking at earnings EPMB. One of the other major things is, so again, this is Black Friday, which went to 67, and this is kind of like the highest performing day of the weekend of the week or the year, excuse me. 67, 62, 61, 63, and then it kind of drops off as it normally does. But I want you guys to think about how this came into play last year. So this was the year 2021. This is the same weekend. Black Friday went all the way to 100. So this kind of gives you an idea of what our current economy looks like. Also, I've only been out of Zoic for, just shy of 2 years now. And, basically since the beginning of time, since the beginning of Zoic, they've never seen so much basically stagnant ad rates. This is 2016. You kind of see this general progression to Black Friday, and then it dips off for Q1. You see this general progression through Black Friday, dip, Black Friday, dip, Black Friday, dip, Black Friday, dip, Black Friday, dip. You get the point here. So this is a very odd, what I'm trying to say here, this is a very odd scenario, and it's something that we've actually never seen historically. So this page, the ad revenue index.zoic.com, is a good thing to keep an eye on. And then one thing that I really wanted to talk about is, after you see these Q4 ad rates go up, Q1, like January 1st comes around, and this is when ad rates really drop. So if it's the first week of January and you're like, wow, my earnings might be down 20% from the last month of December, this could exactly be why. Well, it could be, and there's 99% of the time, if you made no other changes, this is going to be the reason why. So I just want this to resonate in the back of your heads. It's just something to be kind of, aware of in this whole equation. It's not just for Zoic, of course, it's for the whole economy, it's for the entire industry. Google Ads, you've seen the Facebook layoffs, you've seen all the different layoffs between the tech industry. CX Nation is right. It's sad, the recession's here. But one of the best things about being a website publisher is that you actually have a lot of control in this scenario. Maybe not the ad rates, but you control if you're using Humex, if you're still producing content, if you're still continuing your SEO efforts. Because I actually think that careers like this, when a recession hits, people can lose jobs. Well, the only way you lose your job is if you sell your domain or you just stop working on it, right? So you guys constantly kind of motivate me. I can see all the hard work you guys put in, especially just in the Access Now program. But it's just something to consider, when the first week of January comes around. If you see, lower earnings, it's okay to freak out, because I think it's very natural to freak out, especially when it's something like income and salary, if it is for you all. That's very understandable. Just, think about the yearly ad rates and how Q1 does affect those ad rates. Don't be so hard on yourselves. I don't want to end this on a bad note. So, we are coming up on the holiday season. Whatever you guys do or do not celebrate, I hope it is, a really good, 2 or 3 weeks for you guys. I think the recession and the economy has been hard for everyone. Inflation's up. It's been a hard time. So it's important for us now to support each other, help each other out. That's why I like the community. That's why I like being part of the Access Now program, because no one else in the entire industry is willing to give you guys the time of day to help you guys grow. But I see the ultimate value in that, because if no one else is willing to give the effort here for you guys, then I for sure am going to be the one to do it, because it kind of gives me the extra motivation, because no one else is willing to do it. I think I just did the same thing 10 times in a row, but I think you get my point. Thanks for your time, Charlie. Is there these same calls for level 1 as Zoic? Are they Access Now as well? If you mean like these calls or these same calls as in the live stream, these are for Access Now level 1. But I can, they are for Access Now level 1. I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused on your question. is there these same calls for level 1 of Zoic? Are they accessed now as well? If you meant these live streams, yes, these live streams are for both access now and level 1. We've actually had some publishers that have gone from the Access Now program all the way to level 4, level 3, or even farther. Like the progress is real and it's attainable for every single one of you guys. Sometimes publishers in the 3 or 4 will say, hey, Charlie, they'll just join back in and say, hey, X, Y, and Z helped when in the past when you did this or that, or this didn't help. Sometimes they like to come in and just pick up some general information. Sometimes they like to stop in and just say, hey, this is my progress. Oh, yeah. So, well, technically, we have our levels. So it's like, level 1, level 5, and then VIP. Well, Access Now is kind of like a level 0-ish. Access Now is kind of like a level 0, if that makes sense, and then level 1 is level 1. So there is a difference between Access Now and level 1, but my team kind of oversees the majority of all of Access Now and level 1. So it is a similar style on onboarding and treatment. But yes. CX Nation, that's a great question. John, I see your domain here. So I'll make sure I get that added to the optimization review. It also looks like it is an automated domain, which is awesome because I love my cars, so I might spend a good bit of time on this domain, just checking it out as it is. But this is a really clean site. This is super cool. A little bit off topic, John, but thanks for sharing. I'll make sure that gets added to the review. Cool. And then this is a really great question. Competition research done. No, that's not it. I could use Niche IQ for that. But no, he's running on carports. I kind of like to write just on like random things I think of. So for instance, one of my last articles was, why I think sports cars from the 90s are like the best we've ever seen, why those will never be able to be replaced and blah, blah, blah. I kind of write random stuff like that. Oh boy. Oh, by the way, does the Zoic have any views on AI content? Yeah, we've kind of, it's obviously a major topic of discussion within the office and within the entire industry. But Google is actually unreal at analyzing a site, as you guys probably know. It's not perfect, but they're very, very good at it, and they are developing AI content checkers. I don't know if that is them just saying that or if that's already a thing or not. But essentially, AI content lacks original thought. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. The way AI content works is it'll gather information that already exists. So an organic or basically an original thought is never going to be had through AI content. And so when I write things, why sports cars from the 90s are the best, I'm going to try to include as many things that are original to my thought and experiences that an AI could never include. I could see avenues where this could create success, but from a blogging and a monetization standpoint, I wouldn't say it's not something that I would suggest. I would just say, you guys all have original thoughts that AIs don't. Leverage that, write content, edit your content so it comes off original and it does provide value that no one else can add. And that's when you'll see the real success. Because if we're always looking for the shorter window in the publishing world, as I've learned, it's only going to set you back in the future. So if you really put a good ground layer into your work and to your website, then it's just going to help you. It's just going to act as a catalyst in the long run. And that's kind of not the best answer, but it's kind of my answer. It's that I'm not going to be using AI content or generate content creator for my website. It's not a diss to the AI content. It honestly creates some crazy stories and articles. So it's not a hit to that. It's just that I truly believe that my original thoughts can provide more value to a perspective of a question, or I can answer a question in another way. And if you're saying, well, I actually like the AI content, take that into consideration. Maybe use parts of it, not obviously verbatim. You want to rewrite the content so it's actually original to your own mind, but the AI will never be able to supplement an original thought, which is basically what sets all the best sites aside. Whether you have an original tool that you created that no one else has, there's plenty of people that have made, a Wordle game tool because it's others can do it and there's no reason why you can't. But I want you to think of, if you're trying to really set yourself up for success, creating something that already exists is not going to put you at the top. It might help you, but it might not push you to where you actually want to be. So use your original thoughts to your advantage. And that's basically going to be how I'm going to end this. Joanne is in here and says, hi, Charlie. Sadly, I'm signing off right now, but I'm happy you joined in. I do think this is one of our better live streams that we've had in the past. A majority of that is because you guys asked great questions. You guys brought up a lot of really good points. You guys contributed. You guys engaged with me. So I do really, really appreciate that. I'll leave this on the YouTube channel if you guys want to rewatch it or if you want to circle back and go through some of the jargon that I kind of just vented off on. I know I said a lot. But again, I want to say thank you guys so much for joining. You guys made this live stream fun. You made it engaging. Hopefully you guys found some benefit from this. I will be doing another one next week. But if I don't see you from then, I hope you guys have a great end of the year. I hope you guys have some time set aside that's not publishing or not working. Just, give yourself that mental rehabilitation. I know, the world and how it works, it can create a lot of wear and tear on yourself. So I think it's very important to take a step back, give yourself the time of day just to regenerate. And then, you can hit the ground running early next year. If you can see family, if you can see friends, if you can, get outside, get outside. Definitely write some content if you find the time. So good question. I would follow the ad revenue index. Will revenue drop in the last quarter? This is the last quarter technically, so it should be pretty stagnant. Throughout the year, and then it'll probably drop off when January 1st comes around, when the cycle resets back to the first quarter. But again, I wish you guys, my Christmas or my holiday wish is that you guys all find some time to just check out and take care of yourself, do something you love, sleep a little bit extra, eat some healthy food, maybe read a book, write some content. But my wish is that you guys have a great rest of the year. My wish is that you guys are healthy, happy, and kind of doing everything you need to do to take care of yourself, because that, at the end of the day, is far more important than any domain, than any EPMB, than any niche. You guys are far more important than just that. So it's very important you guys take care of yourselves. I'll do the same, of course, I promise. And I'll continue to work on my site. And I think maybe when my site has a little bit more ground, I can be a little bit more transparent and show you guys what I've been working on. But again, thank you so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a safe weekend. Thank you guys. You guys are all the best. Truly, I think I love you guys all. That's why I love this team. I love working with you guys. You guys are the most motivated. You guys are the most appreciative. I really love working with you guys. So I do appreciate it. Again, enjoy everything. Have a good one. Hopefully I'll see you next week. If not, I'll see you guys next year. Cheers.